So, unlike my last video that we did for the Necromancer, this is going to be the quick guide for Henrietta. Now, before, when I explained the build, I started out by covering, you know, each character real quick, like what they do, and I started out by covering, different builds. For Henrietta, I'm going to be showcasing one build, which is the problem with her building her. So the rant part and the build part are going to happen at the same time. Then I'll showcase some specialty builds. Now, the first thing you need to understand with her is how her powers work. So she is designed, her play design is around damage and tankiness. Now, her basic deadites are supposed to be just basic deadites. They're not really supposed to be that buff, especially compared to the other units. They're supposed to be the mid-tier option, with the skeleton units being slower, but tankier and dealing more damage, and the puppeteer units being faster and attacking more frequently, but dealing the least amount of damage. Her units are supposed to be in the middle. Now, they have an ability called Farewell to Arms, which is utterly stupid, where if they don't spawn with a melee weapon, they'll rip off their own arm and use it as a bludgeoning tool. They actually deal balance bar damage to themselves. That counts as a balance bar damage. So, that's stupid. The reason, though, why her units are really good is the puke ability. Now, the puke ability actually doesn't get good until you come into the trait. But essentially, it provides tick damage on a survivor, and it forces them in an animation where they have to block the puke, which means they're susceptible to damage from other units, and it means that they can't, it knocks them out of an animation that if they were already in an animation, such as a revive, reload, swing animation, shemps, amulet. Very annoying to contend with. It's not anything special, mainly because if you're possessing one of these units and you go to puke, it's actually more of a death sentence than anything else, because if you are possessing a basic puppeteer unit and you go to puke, you are locked in that animation and can't get out of it until you finish. Now, you used to be able to have the dodge mechanic where you could dodge out of that if you were player controlled, and you could get 4 to 5 free hits in. Now you can't do that, and that is a healthy part of the game. But it's important to understand that the puke really shines when multiple between a player-controlled Deadite and an AI Deadite can puke in unison, because it creates this puke chain where the survivors are unable to do anything. Her elites are the disappointment. The Deadite Smash is terrible, very easy to avoid, and very easy to miss. They're designed to be the big beefcake, but they just simply do not get enough attacks or are threatening enough. I wish they had a crowd control ability where they can, like, charge and barrel through, you know, and just knock through enemies in their way, as opposed to they charge forward and they get a Hulk smash that doesn't hit anything. They have the big swing, which does do a lot of damage. I will credit that. If you get hit by one of those, it's pretty good. But it's pretty easy to dodge out of. They're really good, though, at just being big, tanky things. If you're going up against warriors, leaders, support-heavy lineup that isn't going to be dodging as much, if you're going up against a predominantly melee-oriented support Ashe, Arthur, leader Ashe, or warriors, you get a lot of value out of going heavy on the elites, because they, while they're going to die fairly easily to most melee units, these guys can pound. Your heavy attacks do serious damage. Now, your boss is interesting. So Henrietta, when I first started playing the demons, I always thought of Henrietta as being the worst demon boss unit, because Ashe has his summoning tools which give him defense. Puppeteer has a shit ton of crowd control. Now, I still agree with that sentiment that they haven't changed, but Henrietta, in my opinion, is good. So Henrietta is designed to be big, massive health bar, relatively slow, no real ranged ability. So why would you play her? She's just big and hits hard and tanks a lot of hits. Her granny hug is kind of crap. It does like no damage. The titty grab, as we call it, where she's just, you know, going like this. It doesn't do much. So why is it a good ability? Well, because of the fact that it can lock a survivor in place, and if you want to put it in fighting terms, it's frame neutral. Her recovery animation is the same as the survivor's recovery animation, unless they know when they can dodge out of it early. But then they have to burn a dodge in order to get out of an animation. Belly flop is terrible. Probably the single worst boss ability. Of all the boss units, it's probably the single worst. Because the area of effect on it is not large enough. And a survivor can actually block it by directly running into it. If a survivor is underneath where she would land, it cancels it out of her. Whether that's a bug or not, I don't know. But the gas leak is the number one thing. Gas leak leaves a toxic fume. The main reason why gas leak is good is its passive damage, and it can force the survivors to go like this and knock them out of swings. As a warrior, I genuinely hate fighting Henrietta when this ability is active, because I'm trying to go for a combo. Swing, I go for a second swing, I'm like this. Knocked me on my combo completely. Gives her a lot of defensive options. So knowing this, let's explain your power. So your power is called Really Bad Influence. When it's activated, it creates an aura around you. Now you can only use this in your spirit form, and any AI units that are in this aura get buffs. Now, Really Bad Influence 1 does next to nothing until you hit level 15, get tier 1. 35% damage, 35% maximum health, 20% attack frequency. All of these, by the way, are 10% at the default value. It's not listed here, but they're 10%. So it takes it to 45% damage, 45% health, 20% and 30% attack frequency. Then Really Bad Influence 2 is another. So 55 damage, 55 health, 40% attack frequency. Really Bad 3 is what makes her shine. 65 damage, 65 health, 50% attack frequency. This means that AI units in her aura, when this ability is active, do more damage than you do. By an absurd amount. Attack frequency, they're getting much more hits. The big thing is that units cannot suffer balance bar damage. No F-chaining. This makes her power very annoying for low health survivors or survivors who are built around balance bar, like support. Cheryl is a very common character that's kind of just built to be a heal bot 24/7 and swings a lot. Knowing this as well, you can choose to build around her power more rather than her balance bar, meaning you can actually save some points. Now comes to the rant portion. Yeah, I know, 8 minutes in and we're not at the rant yet. So why I want to explain this is that in order to build your tree, if you look at the top, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, you have your 5 trees. Now, normally when I do these build videos, I say, look at the tier 5 and see what trees you want to access. This still holds true. Here's the problem that you have. Let's say, okay, easy access, I want that. Potent gas, I want that. Health Razor boss, I can avoid that if I need. Possession extension, I want that. Portal Authority boss, I can pass on that if I need. A greater capacity for evil, I want that. Okay, so we know we want this tree, so we start here. We know we want this tree, we start here. We know we want this tree, we start here. Unlike other demons, she has next to no starting point options. So let's start with the 2 points you're first putting in are going to be into puke. And basically, this is what makes puke so lethal, is that it takes away the survivor's escape option. It takes away any of their stamina options. No puke. Puke means no sprint and no dodge for 5 seconds. Now, old Warlord, which had the ability to dodge, cancel out, and get about 3 to 4 smacks in on you. You could get either 3 heavies or 4 lights in the amount of time it would take the survivors to dodge to get out of the puke mechanic. And if you combo that with the dodge and sprint debuff, it meant that not only could those survivors get hit by a 3 or 4 hit combo, you could then recover from your attack cooldown and hit them again another 1 or 2 more times before they could dodge or sprint out. Now they'd be able to heal or pop an amulet because the puke wore off, but they still couldn't dodge out of it. So these are still very strong. Like I said, with what I call the puke chain, where you could have a possessed unit puke and an AI unit puke. I've had games where I've literally died because I got puke chained by 4 or 5 enemies in a row. Where puke, 2 puke at one time, and then it would chain 1 puke, 2 puke, 3 puke, and I'm down. Not because of the damage, but because I'm taking hits in between. Both of these abilities are really good. Another thing would be Head Start. Start the match with a portion of your maximum infernal energy. Now, we want a perk later on down the tree called Great Capacity for Evil, which gives us more energy, more total energy. So that's obviously something good right there. So we put the points in. Now, this is my thing. I still need to spend 1 more point on the skill tree in order to access stuff. Now, let's actually look for a minute at where everything is. Alright, so these 2 right here are elites. Okay, so you assume that these trees are going to be pretty balanced. Let's look at this tree. This is elite, elite, boss, elite, general maintenance. Alright, so this is primarily an elite tree right here. You have this one. Elite, elite, boss, elite, boss. Okay, but it also has 2 of the best boss abilities are in this tree, and some of the worst elite abilities are in this tree. Rocksteady elite, and then the coagulation are terrible. So I gotta waste points for that. So there's this tree. So you got puke, basic, boss, basic, but it's worthless, boss. That's one of the main reasons why I said this tree is not very good. Granny Hug's not very good, and where it basically increases the amount of damage before you release a survivor. They're not really doing that much to you anyways. The basic one doesn't really matter. It's really good for like AI pre-spawn units, but once you find the survivors and you have your power up, it's worthless. And then you have Health Razor Boss, which Health Razor Boss is actually really good. Gives Henrietta a lot more health, but she doesn't necessarily need it if you know how to play her right. So it's one of the weaker boss abilities as well. So again, this tree is not very good except for puke. Then here, alright, so puke, 2 basics. Balance bar boss units, not bad, but there is something that's better in my opinion. Health Razor, basics, really good. And then Possession Extension, which is general maintenance. Okay, so most of this is alright except for the Rocksteady boss. So you want to build into this tree. And then you look at these 2 trees. So this is a Test of Time, which is anti-objective. Then you have 3 portals here, which are all reduce the amount of infernal energy required to place a basic portal. Now this I need to explain in a little bit more detail when we come to here, but these are all 3 really good. Now I thought they were better than they actually were. They are worse than I initially thought when I first made my build. Then you have this tree. Fear Factor, this is utterly worthless. Reduces fear level before they become visible in demon vision. I mean, there's no real reason to run this, except it's a filler, and you have to put a point to get the rest of the tree. Infernal Refill, this is crap. But again, it's a filler. Infernal Revenue, it's not bad. I would invest to it if I had points. You're not going to have the points when we show you how. And then Great Capacity for Evil, which is really good, and we covered that before. But these trees are generally maintenance here. Now, Henrietta has a couple of builds. You can spec specifically into what you want. If you want elite build, basic build, boss build, maintenance build. Now I show the maintenance build because I think the maintenance build is strongest. And I'm going to showcase that first to just explain to you how bullshit this tree is. So you notice why I've been doing all this talking? Unless I buy one of these points here for elite, I can't move down the tree. Now, I personally want Hemophobia because we're going to build this tree. we're gonna kind of ignore this middle tree, which has gas leak buffs, which are really fucking good. I just want to mention, if you plan on making a boss build, you're gonna be spending points here, because the gas abilities are so fucking good. Now, I have one filler point here. This is actually not bad. This means that each individual blood splatter on your screen increases the fear of the survivor when they hit elites. So it's not bad. Alright, so now we have the second tree right here. We have to spend 6 points on this tree. That is harder than you think. I have one filler point in fear factor. I have one filler point in high blood pressure. And I have 2 points of test of time. So, test of time, increase the duration while the demon player is inside the aura. So 20% slowdown object. That's really good. You want that. Okay? And I still need to put 2 more points into the tree. Now, I know I want to build this tree, so I'll put 1 point here. But, because I need to be conservative with my points, I don't really know where else to put the points. Because now you have a decision. Are you going to build into puke? Or are you going to build into the high blood pressure here? Which, if I'm being honest, I'm going to build into projectile vomit for the extra range. Might not make sense, but you'll see why in a few minutes. Because the damage isn't the reason why I run the puke. The range is better. So now I've spent my points, I open up the tree here. I've spent another 6 points. So let's look. I'm not looking to put anything in a Granny Hug. Miss Nobi's quick comeback. This is the really good ability for Henrietta to it almost halves your recovery time. It's 40%, not 50%. So this is better than Balance Bar in my opinion. I'll put the 1 point there. Rocksteady Boss. I don't want to put a point into that, but it's a filler. An Infernal Refill, which is a filler point there. Now we'll talk about this tree right here. So, if you do the build that I'm doing, which is a kind of a maintenance build, these aren't that good. Because you're going to have a shit ton of energy, particularly at the start of the match. So you're going to start the match with 20% of your maximum energy. And you're going to have 25% more total energy. So it should put you around 325 when you are maxed out on energy. Cooldowns are going to be bigger than energy, realistically speaking. So a 10% portal reduction is not great. 15% is worse. So if you find your energy is just too consuming for you, you can invest 1 point into this tree, which I don't recommend. But I have to spend 3 more points on the tree to open up. So that means I'm going to max out Miss Nobi's quick comeback. Now I still have 1 point I need to put in. So this is where I'm going to go and put another point into the range on the vomit. Alright, so we opened up the tree a little bit further. So I have 1 filler point for Infernal Revenue. I'm maxing out Health Razor Basic. And I'm maxing out Health Razor Elite to make them tankier. And that opens up the last part of the tree, which is 8 points. Well, I have to spend 11 points. So I want my easy access. I want my possession extension. And I want my greater capacity for evil. This is just going to reduce the amount of energy that's required to maintain and possess units. Meaning I have more energy to spend on actually portals. Which is why I didn't spend it. Now, you have got 3 points left to spend. This is why I said I'm going to build the range. I got 2 points left before I can open up. I can put them into damage, or I can start working on the portal authorities just for some generic removal. For this purpose, I'll show you this. So this is all the points I have to spend. You see how many wasted filler slots there are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 filler spots, and it could have been 7 if I didn't build Acid Reflex. Just to get access to the last part of the tree. Now, the last part of the tree is very important. This right here, Gates of Cooldown, Gates of Hell Basic, the cooldowns, these are worthless because the 15% is not strong enough. These are good if you plan on not really investing into your basic boss or elite portals, but you're gonna have to do that eventually. This is the tree you want to build right here. So you've got Pain Parasite, Demonic Revival, Relentless Evil, and the damage on the basics and the elites. These are really good. Here's the issue. You only have 9 points to spend in these trees. So the first thing I want to mention is that you need Relentless Evil, because this is going to cut your cooldown on your power down to 20 seconds. So what I'm going to do is pick whichever one of these I think is better. Now, Demonic Revival makes it so that evil units begin regenerating health after receiving no damage. You have to wait I forget if it's 4 or 5 seconds, and then you regen 5 health per second. That's not enough. I would much rather have Pain Parasite, because Pain Parasite is much easier to get off, and this affects AI and possessed units. It does not affect bosses. So we're going to max this. So this is 10% health a hit. Now, I still have to spend 3 more points to get access to Relentless Evil. That's easy. 3 on basics. Basics are the easiest thing I'm summoning. Now, I've got 3 for Relentless Evil. I have 1 point left over, which I could put that in Elite. I could put that into bosses. I could put that into one of my fillers to reduce some of the maintenance. I could put that in the Demonic Revival. I really don't want to. I think Heavy Damage Elite is probably better, but I also like High Blood Pressure for the range on the splatter, because the splatter can be very annoying to contend with. So, this is your first build. Like I said, there are some variations to it, but it's not bad. So, now we're going to reset. This is the second part of the rant. Now, every time I want to make a build, a specialized build, I have to play that guessing game of, okay, where do I spend the points to get what I want? So let's talk about the elite build first. I think the elite build is very underrated. Alright. So, this is a normal tree. The only difference on the point is we're spending a point into Speeding Train. Now, what I'm looking to do is I'm not looking to spend a lot of points. I'm looking to spend enough points to open up the tree and fill in fillers later. Alright. I need that. I don't think you really need that for a dedicated elite build. Put 1 on the Speeding Train. Max that. Alright. That opens that up. That opens that up. That opens that up. That opens that up. Now, you notice I need 7 more points into the tree to get access to some things. I need 4 more points. Pretty good generic one. While I'd like Possession Extension, I don't think it's that valuable. 2 more points on the tree. Suppose I'll put another point into this. And I'm tempted for the last point on Speeding Train. But I think there is a... Range is only 10%. Yeah, I'll put in Speeding Train, I guess. And then the remaining 9 points. So obviously, you want the Elite right there. And then with the 1 remaining point that we have left... So yeah, there's no real point for the 5% right there. I'm just going to put it right here. Now. Actually, you know what? Probably a better idea would be to max out these, I guess. Yeah. So. This is your elite build, in my opinion. This is a straight elite build. Now, the reason why I have this built a certain way, alright? So the differences from the previous build is you have your general basic portal maintenance. Now, I did put the 15% on Portal Authority Basic, and I did put the 10%. This build is primarily designed around flooding elites out as much as possible. These energy costs are supposed to help make up for the lack of possession extension. Because this is an elite-focused build, I'm not really looking at doing too much besides getting big Chungus elites out. The basic units are kind of just there. You still want Pain Parasite because you get a lot more healing off of that with elites. Still want Relentless Evil, because you want the no balance bar damage. Now, Speeding Train is better at 25% than anything else, but it's also not a great ability. This is just here to help out. Technically, if I wanted to buff my units a bit more... Yeah, I see that's the other issue. I can't take off any points to put over onto that part of the tree. You can't flood that part of the tree with points. That could maybe work just as a filler. Now, Hemophobia. I talked about the Blood Spatter build. This is actually a really good build for Fear if you want to play as a Possession Warlord. So, Hemophobia makes it so that whenever you hit an elite unit with a melee, you get Blood Splatter on it. It also works for gunshots as well, but that has to be close range. So, every Blood Splatter that you get raises a survivor's fear by 5. High blood pressure increases that range by 35%, so it gets hit from farther away. And coagulation just obscures the screen more. This can lead to hunters particularly getting extra dodges, but this right here is actually, it might not seem very valuable. This is actually fairly good for just bringing out an elite unit, punching a bunch of survivors, getting them weak, and when your unit dies, possessing one of them and wiping the floor with their teammates. Now, obviously, you have Quick Combat, which I still think is like a mainstay. Health Razor Elite, obviously, and Easy Access. Why did I avoid most of the basic trees? Because I'm really only using basics until I get the Elite Portal up on this build. Next, we're going to cover the basic unit build. Basic unit build... Again, standard tree right here. Alright? Now, you might be wondering why I'm still continuing to build that tree. You'll see. That's a lot of points right there. Eight more points. I should be able to do this. One more. Elite Portal or Health Razor Elite? Probably Health Razor Elite. Then we got 9 points. So obvious. 1 point left. Bam. Okay. Basic unit build. Fairly similar to the remaining builds that we've covered. I'm just taking a screenshot. Hold on. So, filler. Miss Nobi's quick comeback makes boss stronger. Health Razor Elite, this is actually kind of the filler perk here, just to make any elites that you get off Fear Trap. So I do think Fear Traps are the way to go. Fear Traps are definitely the way to go, because they can, a Fear Trap Elite build is kind of an instant. Because as long as you have Hemophobia at 1, you are going to get some fear whenever they melee it. So you get a Fear Trap off of the Elite popping out. You get the Elite to pop out. They smack the Elite, Hemophobia procs. The reason, though, is you want Easy Access and Possession Extension are must-haves for basic unit possessions. Any build that wants basic unit possessions needs it. 35% more damage, Pain Parasite, reduce cooldown to make your other basics stronger, double up on the puke. The damage is not so much a big deal, but it's better for, like I said, the puke change. The range is the main thing you want, and if you notice, I put 1 point for Portal Authority Basic. Didn't max it. Just need that 1. Boss build. Boss build is actually kind of fun. Alright? Now on a boss build, in my opinion, if you're making boss builds, you want to focus on a few things you wouldn't normally do. So, I put in 1 point in Granny Hug. It's terrible. Now why? I want Lingering Gas max. I want Miss Nobi's Quick Comeback max. I don't necessarily need that. I need 1 point here, 1 point here, 1 point here. 1 more point on the skill tree to upgrade. Okay. Portal Authority boss. I don't think you need the Portal Authorities on this. And I don't think you have the points for it, if I'm being honest. So, I'll take a lead, I guess, because it's a filler. Potent Gas, boss, great capacity for evil, 3 more points on the skill tree. We'll max out the elite. Then, I guess this is a good time to go for an elite build. So, I don't really want that. So, either... I don't have a lot of points left to spend. High blood pressure. Open up the tree. Take this right here. They're gonna make me put... Okay. Now this is gonna look kind of weird. This boss build. Because boss build is made around elites. So why do I want my boss? Why do I want this? Why is this the build I'm going with? Let's cover what makes this a boss build. So you have heavy damage boss, which is 20% more damage for Henrietta. Alright? On this tree, we have 3 wasted filler points just to get access to Health Razor boss. So 35% tankier boss. You have your same maintenance stuff, great capacity for evil, test of time, head start, same. The puke stuff, same, just for helpful. We have Miss Nobi's Quick Comeback, mainstay. Lingering Gas 3, Potent Gas 3. Normally I'm not building this tree otherwise. Why is this a big deal? 35% duration means you're gonna go from 8 seconds to about 11 seconds. And the damage goes up by 35% as well. The damage per tick is significant. This means warriors will eat so much in free damage as they swing on you. You combine this with the extra health, the extra tankiness from Miss Nobi's, and the heavy damage. This build is designed to make Henrietta into a fucking impossible to kill Juggernaut. Now, why am I built around the fear and the elites? Because the way you can kind of do this is pretty simple. You summon elites when your boss is on cooldown. The elites fear the survivors. Die, possess the survivors. On this build, you're essentially just looking to waste time and energy until you can get access to your boss again. Now, if I have filler points, why wouldn't I maybe go for Portal Authority boss? First off, you're not going to be able to get max heavy damage boss and Gates of Hell boss. Let's start with that. You have to choose one or the other. Damage is better. Well, why wouldn't you then put points into Portal Authority? Because you need those filler points, right? You only need 4 points to get that. Here's the thing. The energy cost isn't really the issue on this build. This build's issue is time. So, build around something that consumes a lot of time. Fear and the tank power on the elites. You notice how a lot of these builds, I'm neglecting certain abilities. I need to reset my build. So this will... Consider this the outro. damage. Alright. Yeah. So, that's one issue I have. I honestly think with like 5 more points, Henrietta would be a lot more balanced killer, but